Ellie.
Hi, I'm Tammy.
Hi, I'm Elsie.
And we're the Fangirl Diaries with our first ever podcast, Squeeworthy. We're going to start off with our fandom drink. We're hoping to have a themed cocktail for every vlog that we do and every podcast that we do. So since we just had a Game of Thrones premiere last weekend, we figured we would go Game of Thrones this time. This is going to be our Dragon's Blood cocktail. Although you can't see it, we'll go ahead and give you the ingredients. It's going to be all equal parts. We used absolute acai berry as the liquor, and then we used cranberry juice, right?
Yes, and
Sprite. So all equal parts. Absolute acai berry vodka, cranberry juice, and Sprite. And you have a delicious cocktail. So that is our theme for today. And we're going to start off with our trailers. So what's coming soon, girls?
X-Men.
Okay, Days of Future Past. Coming out in May. Saw a bunch of trailers. The newest one is not quite as emotional, I think, as the first one. The first one that we saw, I wanted to basically cry.
Well, I think when they show like young Xavier and senior Xavier,
Yes.
that was the ultimate emotional
Yes, I agree.
peak. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad they kept that little scene at the end where he says, "You're afraid." I remember. It's
exactly.
so moving. Oh, I love it. But this one didn't have like the really thematic music and stuff leading it. So it just kind of showed how everybody's taking sides and how all the evil will go the evil route and the good guys will go the good route. Everyone like split up. But obviously Jennifer Lawrence like steals it even in the trailer.
The girl can do no wrong.
Yeah, she's amazing. I saw that you had posted on our fan page earlier this week that they're in talks
Rumors.
for some
So
sort of
excited.
Mystique-themed movie, kind of
That'd be
like
awesome.
Wolverine.
It would be just amazing. Like, I would love that. Just because Jennifer Lawrence has brought so much depth to that character. And an all Jennifer Lawrence movie, how can you beat that?
She turns everything to gold.
She does. I love that girl.
She is the Mockingjay. But yeah, it looks amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. I actually wasn't too happy with First Class. Wasn't exactly my favorite X-Men movie. I had really high hopes for it though, so I don't know if I just let it fall short.
I loved it. I loved it because of James McAvoy. I love him.
I love him too.
I thought he was insanely awesome as young Xavier, and I love
Him
his
and Fassbender.
Magneto. Like, I just love that the chemistry between the two of them. They're gold. I love them.
Yeah.
So I did like First Class a lot. I think I'm in the minority when it comes to that movie.
You're not. I loved it too.
Good.
Because I think he really portrayed Professor Xavier very well. And it shows a lot of his history and explains a lot of what, the more modern X-Men stuff, which is obviously when he's in the wheelchair and he's older. You can understand a lot of where he's coming from and what he went through and how it didn't change him. He never lost his core, whereas Magneto was always on the verge.
Teeter-tottering.
Yes.
Well, Magneto went through a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about First Class, because you really understood where Magneto, where his turning point was.
Yeah.
And I loved that about it.
It was good to have the backstory because as someone that didn't read the comics, I didn't really know the history. So I enjoyed that part. And I mean, Fassbender and McAvoy are amazing together, especially. Yeah. I like them both separately, but together they were like a powerhouse. And they really made that movie. I liked all the scenes with them.
Yes,
everybody else kind of brought the movie down.
The fillers weren't that great.
Obviously, J-Law, I mean, she's fantastic too, but
she's the only one.
but she wasn't even that strong in that movie.
Right.
Like, I know she was
a little minor.
Yeah. But them two, if the whole movie would have just been them two, I would have been so happy. So I have high hopes for this one. Again.
I do too. I think the plot line is going to be superb. The graphics look just crazy good. I'm really excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that trailers now, it's kind of disappointing because trailers are almost better than half of the movies.
They're giving it all away.
Yeah, well, that I hate. Yeah. I mean, we're always like, okay, well, we know everything that happened. Thanks. Don't need to go see it.
Or you know what I hate is when you watch a trailer and they show these amazing scene and you're watching the movie and you're like,
and they're not
where's
there.
that scene that I'm waiting for?
Cut. Yeah, it sucks. But, so yeah, X-Men fangirls are definitely looking forward to that one. And when it comes out, we'll make sure to have a review. Next up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that's just that was painful to watch.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
it was just really, really bad. Lips. Why do turtles need lips? I mean,
it was bad.
They don't even look like turtles. They look like giant green
like
blobs.
Weird,
That's what they look like.
Yeah, it's just really bad. I know in the trailer they don't really show them like talking too much, but I don't know. It looks like really badass, and I don't feel like the Ninja Turtles are about being badass. You know, like where's the comedy? Like, where's
it was
like
the cheese? Where's
the
cheese ball?
It's Michael Bay, so I mean,
and
he kills everything.
Speaking of Michael Bay, April O'Neil as Megan Fox and Michael Bay. What? No. Why? What happened? And weren't they like enemies?
They were. She said like, wasn't it some sort of like?
She said horrible things about him.
I forgot
exactly. He called her a bitch. Like, like that was bad.
Like,
and then now they're like, oh, besties.
I'm pretty sure that was nothing compared to what she called him. I can't remember exactly
what started with her
accusation was, but she said something pretty nasty to him, and
so he puts her as the star of his newest movie.
They must have reconciled. We missed it, but it happened, and now she's ruining yet another franchise. Can't wait. So yeah, not really looking forward to that one all too much. Next up, we have Spider-Man.
Yes.
So newest reboot, second film.
I'm really excited for this one.
I'm incredibly excited.
Are you?
Yes, because I hated the first ones so much.
Andrew Garfield does an amazing job as Peter Parker.
He is.
He really is. I think the reboot was way too soon.
That was my
issue. My husband fell asleep on the first one. But I enjoyed it because of the chemistry between Andrew and Emma. Yes. I really enjoy them. And
aren't they dating in real life?
Yes, they are. Okay. That's why they're
and the visuals are surprisingly really well done, at least in the trailer. So that's a big plus compared to the older movies where the CGI was just, oh my god.
I think it was the reboot being too soon. And that's what turns you off. Soiled it, because I feel like it's oversaturated. Like, I'm sick of Spider-Man. I don't know if it's our like Islands of Adventure that we always go to, which is 3 hours away, and all the Spider-Man there, and then the old Spider-Man and this new Spider-Man. It's like, enough with Spider-Man. Like, isn't there someone else we can explore at this point than Spider-Man?
I agree. There could be. I think they're just trying to salvage Spider-Man because Tobey Maguire was such an emo, whiny little Peter Parker.
Little bitch.
Yeah, so they're trying to like, okay, this is what he really looks like. Also, I feel that in the comic book world, there's way too many different variations of the Spider-Man, more so than any of the others. So they're trying to like, oh, this is a cool version. Let me just do this.
There's more material to work with.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
I am excited about how they're exploring 3 villains in this one: Rhino, Electro, and I'm not sure the Goblin. Is it going to be the Green Goblin? Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because in the trailers we can't really see if is it Osborn Sr., is it Osborn Jr. who becomes a Goblin? Like, I want to explore that. Well, in the comic books, there's a variation of goblins, so I'm dying to see in the movie, what do they do with that? How do they run with it? So I'm really excited about that. And Jamie Foxx surprisingly looks really well as Electro.
He's
so
not
I'm
a bad
excited
actor.
about that.
He's really not that bad. No. Like, I think he's a pretty good actor. He may be douchey in real life, but he's
maybe that's why I have bias.
Yeah, he's pretty good at his craft.
I know, we have to go beyond that and see him as an actor.
I try. I mean, the action scenes look really good.
Yes,
that I have to say.
And Osborn looks really creepy. He fits so well with the villain role. So I'm really excited to see that.
Okay. All right.
So despite the early reboot, I'm excited for this one.
Well, it's coming out soon. I'm pretty sure it's a May release. Okay, there you go. So hopefully we'll have a review on that too.
I will definitely watch it.
Awesome. Next up, my personal favorite of the bunch, well, not really, but high up there, is Godzilla. I love monster movies, which is funny because I'm not a fan of horror all that much, but I really, really love a good monster movie. Like, it really pumps me up in a weird way. Like, when I saw the trailer for Godzilla, I had goosebumps everywhere.
It's an amazing trailer.
It looks
visually, it looks stunning. I'm excited about the visuals. I'm not a fan of the Godzilla story at all. I have a huge aversion to lizards, and I'm sure that's why I don't like the Godzilla stories at all. I don't know if I'm going to watch it. I mean, for the visuals, maybe. I will for that, but
Oh my
I'm
God.
not interested in the storyline at all.
I actually watched like a whole behind the scenes. A blogger had gone to see the set and stuff and spoke to all the directors and the producers, and her review was pretty impressive. They've really done their research. Like, they really want to give it something meaningful. Like, it's not like a half-assed version. They're going with the origin story, which I really liked, from 1954. It's going to be
like, it's more the Japanese version than the Americanized version.
but they're
Okay,
starting
maybe
it'll have a new route, but they're definitely bringing in the origin story, at least to the beginning. Kind of like that it got covered up. So what happened in 1954 actually happened, but they covered it up as being some sort of nuclear bomb research or something along those lines.
That sounds interesting.
So that now they need Godzilla to fix the problem that they created, because they started kind of building these machines that would be able to fight creatures like Godzilla, but it got out of control. So now they need the bad guy to fix the problem.
You're turning me on to it a little bit.
Yeah, It's kind of like, I'm pretty sure in the trailer somewhere, I don't know the exact quote, it says that, like, we cannot control nature. We always think we can, but we can't. And that's, like, the overall theme. So I really liked it. It seems almost like an art house movie is the way I'm looking at it. Like, they really respected it. So I'm excited. But I loved Cloverfield, and no one else did. But I loved it. Monster movies. Yes. They got me so excited.
I love monster
Destruction.
movies,
Destruction of the world.
Exactly.
What does that say about me? Nothing good. And our last movie, this is my absolute favorite. I can't believe I almost gave it to Godzilla. But Maleficent.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
I mean, I really hope this movie doesn't let me down, because I would be depressed. Like, literally, like, just put me in my room, let me rock back and forth, because... high hopes.
I think with this movie, out of any of them, this is the one to go see in IMAX. This is the one to see.
Yes, I agree.
Like, the visuals are just so stunning with just the trailer alone. I can't wait to see what they do, the full length feature. I am so excited. The dragon, amazing. Her makeup, everything looks so beautiful and so well done. So I really hope that the plot line gives as good as the graphics are looking.
And can we talk about Lana Del Rey's version?
Oh my God, so beautiful.
Amazing.
Once Upon a Dream, please.
Yes. I think Angelina Jolie actually requested her to be the one, and it was a brilliant choice on her part.
When that trailer premiered, the first one with the song, I think it was after the Super Bowl or during the Super Bowl.
Goosebumps.
Seriously.
Goosebumps. Like tears in my eyes, goosebumps
so
everywhere. I was like, oh no, they nailed it. Like,
yes, they did.
So far, visually and with the music, they nailed it.
Very well put together.
Actors, everything, like Fanning as Aurora is
amazing.
like,
she's a great actress.
Yeah,
well, looks like it, at least.
I think she's better than her older sister. Is that terrible to say?
Not at all.
I think she really.
Siblings.
I think she's gonna go farther than her sister, because she has some serious skill, and from a really, really young age. So I really, really love her. But again, I looked into the trailer a little bit more deeply, and apparently people are saying that there's a lot of differences from the Disney version, which kind of irked me in a way, since it is by Disney. So I thought it was going to be true to Sleeping Beauty and just seeing like Maleficent's side of things.
Yeah, that's what
who
I thought
she
it was.
became.
But like the wings, I don't think she ever had wings, or they never mentioned it. She was a fairy.
Yeah.
She was an evil fairy, but she didn't have wings. They mentioned that in the trailer, it seems like the crow is the one that turns into the dragon.
And not Maleficent.
It is a crow, because I just saw the trailer.
Okay.
It came out right before Captain America, and I was like, wait, wasn't that supposed to be Maleficent? So what I assumed was that she turns into the crow and then turns into the dragon, like at the moment. But then I was like,
the crow is
the
Diablo.
crow,
it's her own little sidekick.
Right. But then I was like, maybe not. I don't know. It just confused me for a moment, because you always think that Maleficent's the one that turns into the dragon.
That's what makes her so badass.
Yeah, exactly.
She could turn into a motherfucking dragon.
Yeah.
Like, that's what made her amazing.
Can love her.
Yeah, but no, I'm not liking that sort of thing, because it kind of like diminishes her power.
We'll see. We'll see where they go.
And I mean, I'm hoping that this will kind of open the door for more villain origin stories, because I think that would be really amazing.
That would
if we
be
could
amazing.
see, like, I don't know, Ursula or Jafar movies.
Yes.
Like, that would be super cool, because I think, like, the fairy tales have been done. And
Yeah.
they're always focusing on the hero.
Yeah.
And you know what? The bad guys, they deserve love too.
Yeah, they all have a backstory, and you just automatically hate them, and you're like, wait, no. It just makes you understand them better.
Yeah, I do like the fact that we're going to learn why Maleficent is so bitter and such a bitch. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
And really quick, it's a new trailer, but I had to bring it up, is I don't know if you guys have seen it for Lucy.
Yes, I
Yes.
saw
The
it.
new
I
Luc
did.
Besson movie.
Oh my god.
Oh, with
She's
Scarlett
such a
Johansson.
badass.
Oh my god.
Such a badass.
I know.
I love it.
I listened to another podcast called Geeky is the New Pink, and they actually weren't sure if it was a real trailer. Like, they thought this could not be real because it looks
It
so
looks so
amazing.
good.
And having, like, it's a total girl empowerment movie.
Yes,
I love it.
Like, I know that it's because she has drugs in her system.
That's
So it's
okay.
not because she's amazing. Something made her amazing, but I don't care. And Scarlett Johansson plays such a badass
I love
character.
her.
She does
Yes.
badass really good.
Yes.
So, beyond excited. For those of you that haven't seen it, basically it's about how humans only use 10% of their brain. And this girl gets implanted some drugs in her stomach. They start bursting, and they cause her to use more and more of her brain. So in the trailer, I think she's up to like 28% of her brain, and she's able to learn new languages.
In an
and,
hour?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in an hour, and do
I
all these
just
crazy
did.
things. So I'm sure it just continues growing as the movie goes on, because at one
Exactly.
point she's able to control everybody. Like, she lifts her hand
Right.
up and everybody
Oh my God,
collapses, and that's like the best
Like
scene
telekinesis.
Yeah.
all full blown
yeah,
exactly.
control. She
Yeah.
looks amazing.
Very new. Like,
Can't wait to see where she's at with 100%
Exactly.
of brain power.
Exactly.
It's kind of scary, but cool.
Yeah, and Luc Besson does amazing work. I mean, and he's really good at developing amazing female characters. So, excited for that one. So, that wraps up our trailers for now, right? Nothing else that we want to cover that we've seen. We'll be going into Guardians of the Galaxy next time, because that
that
looks like it's going to be
Yes.
amazing.
It does.
To
But we-
see the teaser for that
But we won't go into that.
next time.
Next time. But all right. So next up are our TV shows.
Yay.
Lots to work with. First of all, Game of Thrones. Last weekend was the premiere. Very anticipated premiere. Apparently,
Yes.
they had the largest percentage of fans tuning in, like
Wow.
more than
Wow.
any other season, which is insane. Like, their following just continues to grow.
Well, they crashed HBO Go.
They did.
It was so hilarious because I was trying to watch it. I didn't catch it live, so I was going on HBOGo.com, and we couldn't get on for like an hour and a half because so many
They
people.
flooded it.
It crashed. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
I got to see it at like 12 or 1 in the morning the same night, but yeah.
Yeah.
We watched it live. It was very exciting. I
It was.
love what I love the most about Game of Thrones, and I hate the most, is that you never know who's going to die.
I know.
So
get
you're
attached.
literally on pins and needles the entire episode. It's not like other shows where you're like, oh, they're not going to kill the main character.
Exactly.
They're not
No.
going to kill the most
Haha, just
beloved
kidding.
character. Everyone loves this guy. He's not going to die. Yeah, no,
You're
like
right.
everyone's in danger. So every scene is super tense. Like,
Yeah.
I was so scared for, I won't give any spoilers for those of you that haven't watched, or any really bad spoilers. Are we going to give spoilers? We'll let you know.
We will tread carefully.
Yeah, we'll let you know. But I mean, there was certain characters that I was really scared for at certain times.
Me too.
Yeah.
I heard some criticism that they thought it was a little slow for it to be the beginner, but you know what?
It was.
So many characters. You need to set up the plot lines coming back. So much happens with these characters, and I'm halfway through book 5, so I know exactly what's going to happen if they keep it to the timeline, which they don't all the time. HBO changes all the time, which I love, because then when I'm watching the show, I'm still surprised.
Right.
But it's just amazing what they started with. So I really didn't have a complaint about the slow start, because they're giving you foundations to each character,
Yeah.
which you really need, because a lot is going to happen.
And this is still book 3?
3.
Okay, but it's the
Yeah.
second half of book 3.
Pretty much, because they had
Okay.
the climax of the Red Wedding, but still so much is to come that you have a few more climaxes. You're not going to be
It's
disappointed.
as bad as the Red Wedding? Like,
no,
as traumatic?
well, even in the
I know, that
book,
was
the
hard.
Red Wedding wasn't as bad. Like,
Oh, really?
HBO really horrified it, like, for good reason, because
Yeah.
they gave me a huge surprise. That was great. Like,
I mean, and then they had no music for the closing credits. Did you
It was
notice
just
that?
silent.
It was
Yes,
silent.
it was silent.
well,
yeah.
the entire time that it was going on, I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
couldn't speak.
Oh
like,
my
I know
God.
other people were crying or, like, having some
No,
sort of
I was in
emotion. I
shock.
was frozen.
Yeah.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think me and Augie spoke to each other for a good 3-4 minutes after it happened. Like, we just sat there and we're like,
I was
What
in shock.
did we just see?
It does vary from the book, and that's why it was so shocking. His wife, that doesn't happen.
Spoilers for those of you that haven't seen
spoilers.
seasons 1 through
3.
3.
Or read the books.
Right.
That didn't happen. It was just crazy. So that was really unexpected for me. It was amazing. And that wasn't even the end to that season, which I thought it should have
Right.
been. I thought
It
it should have
should
just
have been.
cut off right there.
Yeah.
But that's okay. And I like the fact that they're changing things around because I'm getting like 2 versions of the same story. And it's fun because I don't know exactly what's going to happen.
At least it's a good version, right? It's
Yes,
not like
no,
they're
absolutely. I mean,
ruining it.
Right.
I'm a huge believer in books are always better, but with Game of Thrones, I've been really satisfied. I'm really happy with the direction it's taking. The more viewers they get, the bigger their budget gets, the better
Exactly.
the graphics get. So I'm really excited that people are going crazy over this because it just means it's going to get better and it's going to stay longer. I know they just got contracted for the next seasons, and I was like, of course they
Of
have to. We
course,
need to know the
please.
rest of the story, which
Yeah.
means Martin needs to get
Oh,
writing.
Yeah. No, I'll never forget. I went to Comic-Con before Game of Thrones started, before there was even a teaser for Game of Thrones. And I met the guy from theonering.net, and he told me, do you like to read? And I was like,
Hello.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. He's like, you need to read The Song of Fire and Ice. It's amazing. HBO is going to make a show out of it, and it's going to be the biggest show ever. And I was
He
like,
was
man,
on
how
it.
could you make that prediction? He was spot
Yep.
on. And
Yeah.
that was about a year before the show actually started that
Oh,
he
wow.
told me this. And I immediately asked my friends to borrow the books. And it was I don't have as much time to read as I would like to. So if you don't have time to like soldier through a book pretty quickly, I wouldn't recommend reading it just because there's so many characters. I mean, the show doesn't even touch
No,
on how
not
many
at all.
characters there are and how many new ones are being introduced constantly, and then you don't hear about them for a long time, and then they pop back up. So since I would have
confusing.
spans of like weeks where I wouldn't read, when I would jump back in, I would actually have to wiki the character, and then I would spoil myself. So it was just like a mess.
Well, in reading them, I've had to go back a lot to at the end of the books. They
I was
have
gonna say,
like
yeah.
all the
houses.
families with their
Yeah,
houses
right.
and
the trees,
everybody.
right? The family trees.
And I kind of have to flip over sometimes because I'm like, oh, I forgot who that was. Who does that belong to?
Yeah.
But it's just so overwhelming.
Yeah.
It really is. And what happens to me is from one book to the next, because there are so many characters, and especially with book 4 and 5, which are congruent, like chronologically, but they're in different locations geographically. They're different. So things are happening at the same time, and it's a lot of going back and forth, and it's just amazing. So I can't wait to see how they do that, because this episode was pretty spot on with things. Some things that they changed were very minimal. Some characters do stuff that another character did, but they already have that character, so they're going
Taking
to
over,
use that
right.
one. They cut
Yeah.
out people because you can't have all the
No.
ones that are in the book. There's just so many.
Exactly.
What was your favorite part of the episode?
Drogon attacking Daenerys, because there's so much that happens with the dragons, and I'm so excited to see that on TV. And they're giving you a little foreshadowing of how out of control they could get, because she cannot control them.
Well, I found that interesting, and that was one of
Yeah.
the things I wanted to bring up, because it kind of diminished her badass.
I know. I
The
was like,
problem-
what happened?
The problem with her is that she's a Targaryen who doesn't have ancestors to like show her the path of how to control them, how to tame them. She doesn't
yeah,
have
she's
the
kind of
books.
winging it.
Everything has been lost to her.
She
Her
doesn't have it.
history, her familial
Right.
history has been lost to her. So even though her ancestors had like, the key to taming them, she doesn't. Like, she knows how to command them to breathe fire, but it's a lot of trial and error for her. And now they're big.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not,
they're really big.
Drogon has always been the one to like be more affectionate with her and always being mommied, but he's the biggest one and the most aggressive, and he's showing her that
You don't control me, mommy.
yeah.
And is he the one that she's meant to ride?
I don't know.
Do you really not know, or you don't want to spoil?
I really don't know. I haven't finished book 5. I'm like halfway.
Is that when you find out who she rides?
I don't know. I haven't finished.
For those of you that don't know,
excited.
this isn't really a spoiler, is it?
I don't think
There's
so.
3 dragons, and there needs to be a rider for each one, and that's part of their family history.
Yeah.
I mean, their sigil is a 3-headed. Is it a 3-headed dragon or 3 dragons?
It's 3. I think it's 3 dragons.
It's 3-headed.
It's 3-headed, right?
See, it's 1 dragon, but
and that's how they will defeat all the realms and earn back the Iron Throne is by having those 3 dragons and having a rider for each.
Right.
So it's interesting. Like, I know there's a lot of theories spinning around as to who the 3 riders are. Obviously, we know Dany is one.
Right.
Of course.
Who are the other 2?
Exactly.
Well, I have speculations because of the book I'm on, but I don't know if it's really that person because you never know with George.
You don't.
Like,
I mean,
things can turn at the last minute. So
I've heard a really
I'm
good
excited.
one, and I'd love for that person to be one of the writers. But again, I don't
It's
know.
not.
It's not.
What I think you're thinking.
Yeah, I
between
can't
the
say it because
affair.
we're on film as well, so I can't even like.
I
could write it down.
No.
Oh man.
Aww.
Man, that theory was really strong.
I mean,
too.
I could be wrong because he could totally change it up on me, but I really don't think so.
I have really high hopes that he's
that
one
character is going through a lot of different things right now.
Really
Great things, which I can't wait to see.
Okay, we
It's
need to
exciting.
get off of it so that we don't confuse people.
Anyway, the other characters, I was really excited about the introduction of the Red Viper because Dorne is such a cool realm, and I was super excited for them to talk more about the Dornish and get into the characters that come from there. And he's really, really great and crucial for this season, for this book. So things are gonna happen. And it's exciting, and just watch out for him.
Is that the prince?
Yes.
Okay.
Oberyn.
Yeah, I was very interested in him.
Yes, me too.
Because he seems like a douche in the worst way, but he seems amazing at the same time. So, like everybody on Game of Thrones.
The introduction that they did with him and Tyrion wasn't exactly like the book, but because I love that they made it in a whorehouse. That was great.
And it's HBO.
Of course.
Of course. And that was really good. But he goes into a lot of more depth, letting him know of like how we've met before when you were a baby. And you get more of his history where he's coming in because they were promised a seat on the council. And he's here to take that and to take revenge for his sister, Elia, Rhaegar's wife, who was slaughtered pretty much.
Yeah.
So he's really, really serious about that. So we're going to see a lot of more from him. And I'm really excited to see that.
I'm excited to see another badass. Because we have a lot of badasses on Game of Thrones, but there's some that you're like, whatever. There's some that you really want to root for. And I feel like he's going to end up being one of those.
I feel like I'm going to love him.
Yes.
Can we talk about how Daenerys' boy toy got switched? Like the actor got switched?
Well, I think I like this actor better, but the older one,
was cuter?
Dario, he was more realistic to the book character because in the book he has gold teeth. He has these really cool beards that he colors. They're different colors. So I thought the other one was a little bit more flamboyant like that it matched more of the story, but this guy is great too. I really like him. He looks like he can kick ass.
Yeah,
he does.
I don't have the book background. I just think that he's way hotter than the other guy.
He is.
And I feel like he matches more with hers.
Yeah.
But I don't have that whole book history. But I found it funny that they switched actors midway.
They switched actors because the guy who used to play the character has a contract, I guess, from before, whatever, to do yet another Transporter movie with Jason Statham.
Ooh.
So he couldn't do both.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Good to know. Can we talk about how much Joffrey needs to die this season?
Oh my gosh, can we skin him alive?
That would be fun.
I hope it'll be really bad. Like,
when he dies, yes, it needs to be really, really bad.
Torturous, bloody.
Like a whole hour.
Spoilers, if he dies, we don't know.
That's true. We don't know.
No. But it needs to happen. I mean, it's been too long. Like, why have... Everybody else has died.
I know.
And all the good people. Like,
not all of them. Arya is still there. So.
Also, my favorite scene in the whole episode, we'll go down the line. We know Elsie's favorite scene. Mine was the end scene with Arya and the Hound. Yeah. I mean...
Oh my gosh, that was my favorite too.
Arya's like one of my favorite characters.
Yes. It's a turning point for her.
Yeah.
It really is.
Like, I hope she just kills everyone.
I know.
I mean, her little list that she reads to herself, everyone's got to
Well,
go.
she's got one off the list now.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. It was just so amazing because you could kind of see her growing.
Yeah.
She's not sure if she wants to do it. Like, every time she kills someone, it's very slow. Have you noticed?
Well, in the book, she actually doesn't kill him. The Hound does. But I think it was very important for them to show her doing it in the show so we could get on with, you know, her character development because she goes through so much. I feel so bad for this
How old
kid.
is she supposed to be?
She's 11.
they're all supposed to be way
They're
younger.
much younger. Sansa's like 13 or 14.
Jon Snow's 14.
Well, yeah, because I know
Like-
they mention it in the last season when she gets married. I know they mentioned her age, and I was like, she doesn't look that age, the actress.
Right,
But
they change
I
it.
understand
They
that,
change it.
yeah, of course. And not only that, but the lapses between recording, they grow up a lot. Like the kid who plays Bran, I mean, he went from one season to another. He went from a kid to
How
a
cute
teenager.
is that child?
He's
I
adorable.
can't wait to see
Oh
more
my
of him.
Cute.
He's a cherub, and he's actually like one of my favorites too because
Yes, he's awesome.
do you feel like I feel like there's a connection with him and the White Walkers, like his like
There's
powers.
Yes, very special about him.
I feel
There really
like
is.
he's going to be crucial to defeating the White Walkers in
He is
some weird
very
way.
important and he is very special. And you'll get more of that in this season and especially the next one.
Okay.
I can't wait. I'm sad that they didn't show more of him in the first episode.
I know,
It's
we
so
barely
many
saw them.
characters.
I know.
Yeah,
So many
that's the thing, it
characters.
is too many.
Like, and I'm sure the next episode will still be setting up a few more
Everything.
plot lines.
Yeah. So what was your favorite episode? What's your favorite moment out of the episode? Tim?
I have to agree with you. That was my favorite part when Arya, because there was a moment when she is holding her sword needle, and she's about to put it into his throat, but then she doesn't, and then like she doesn't, and you see like a transformation in her, like her eyes, everything about her changed. Like that's it. I don't give a fuck anymore. That's it. She's done. She's gonna be just the next really badass assassin.
and she has Needle back.
Yes.
Yay!
Which is such a strong connection to Jon, and I feel
I
really bad for
know.
her.
I always
I
forget
just-
that. Do you know how to use this?
I keep wanting them to all
Stick the
meet.
pointy end.
But-
I know. Well, he's the last one standing, really? Right?
Yeah.
Aside from Sansa. Like,
It's from
Rickon, Bran, Sansa,
That's
Jon,
right.
and Arya. They're all still.
there
But
are
the thing
still
is,
so
Rob-
many. Like, you
Robert's-
feel like everyone got annihilated.
No, but
It's
the
just
thing,
that they're
because
separated.
No,
they're
not only-
orphans. They're all
Yeah.
orphans now.
Right.
it's not only that they're separated, it's because like the people add oh gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. Where the king, the main city,
King's Landing?
King's Landing.
King's Landing. Yes, sorry. They all assume that everybody's dead except for Sansa. That's why they haven't, and they even mentioned
Right,
in
because
the
remember Theo Greyjoy?
right.
He took over Winterfell and supposedly killed the two boys, the younger
Right,
ones.
that's
So
what I'm saying.
everybody thinks
they assume that
they're
everybody that
dead,
the only
right.
Stark standing is Sansa.
Right.
And I remember one of the characters mentioned that why do you think they haven't killed her? Is because she's
the heir to Winterfell.
Yeah, she's the exactly.
She controls
so,
the North.
Exactly. So if they have her, they have the North. That's what they're assuming.
Yeah. No, I think it was a really strong start. I mean, it may not have been like, I think we're too used to red weddings.
And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
That everybody wants just to see the gore and
Like blood and
but you
violence.
need to set up the plot line.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think they're doing an
It was
extremely
a
well
refresher.
job.
I think it was good because it was a refresher. Even if you haven't seen it, let's say you saw it when the season ended and you haven't had a refresher. Watching this, you're like, oh, that's right. That's what this happened. That's what it first. That's what premiere should be.
And
of a new
honestly,
season.
I loved that Cersei said everything has changed to Jaime when she was
Yes.
talking to him because that set the tone for
I'm
this
so
season.
excited with the shift in their relationship.
Yeah.
And unbelievably, I was such a hater of Jamie. I always
Oh my
hated
God, me
him.
too.
But,
I wanted him to die.
But
the
hello,
but the
why do
books
we
have
all love
changed
him
me.
now?
I know.
the books have changed me. I really like him now.
Not even the books, because I've already changed with my feelings towards him.
Really?
I
Yeah.
used to think he was terrible, but
Yeah.
ever since his relationship with
Brienne.
Brienne,
I love her, by the way.
Yeah, she's
awesome.
She's amazing, and I love that Grandma Lannister kind of noticed her badassery. Like
Yes.
she was like, oh, this is another badass woman.
Yeah.
And she was like very respectful of her, whereas you could tell that she doesn't really give a shit about too many
Marjorie's
people.
grandmother?
Was it Marjorie's
Yeah.
grandmother?
Yes, it was
Yeah,
Marjorie.
it's
Yeah.
Marjorie's.
Oh,
Tara.
so that completely has a different tone then.
Yeah, I don't think there's a Lannister grandmother.
I thought it was Mama Lannister.
She's Marjorie's grandmother.
No.
Yeah.
Well, she
They only have a
recognized
daddy
the-
And
Lannister.
that
she
lady
recognized the
is badass.
Yes,
Like,
I
I
love
love
her.
her.
I think that's why I immediately was like, she has to be a Lannister.
She's sweet.
Because she
Just
looks...
sweet. She's
oh,
so
really?
awesome.
Yeah, she looks like you don't want to mess with her.
No.
kind of thing.
No.
No.
Didn't she like put
she's really smart.
Tywin, or I can never pronounce her
Tywin
name.
and his
Tywin is their dad.
Yeah.
The Lannister
Didn't
dad.
she didn't he try to talk to her and she was like, listen, dude, kind of like she shut him up and nobody can shut him up. You know?
She's really great. I really like her.
She's fantastic. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode.
It was good.
And I really appreciated the symbolism with the first scene with Tywin actually melting down ice, which is Ned's, and that was so
forging the
heartbreaking
two.
for me because he's always wanted a Valyrian steel sword in his family, but they're like new bloods. They're not as as regal as like the Starks, and so he always wanted that, and now it was like the last nail in Ned's coffin. It broke my heart to read it and then watch it while he was melting that beautiful sword for Joffrey, who I hate.
The good ones always go first. I remember I was reading the book and I hadn't gotten to the part where that happened. Spoilers if you haven't seen the show at all or read the books. I did not know that Ned died. So I literally lost it. My husband stared at me and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was sobbing uncontrollably. I was like, "This cannot happen.
No.
Like, this cannot happen."
But that needed to happen so that
I know.
everything else could happen.
It was a catalyst, and I know that.
Unfortunately,
but,
he had to be sacrificed.
It was hard.
That
it
was a
hard
rough
to watch.
one.
It was hard to read, and they did so well on that.
Yeah. But okay, we're gonna wrap it up because we could probably talk about Game of Thrones for 2 hours.
3 hours.
Okay, so we're back after a little pee break. We're going to continue discussing shows, and I think we should touch on Hannibal, which is like the most amazing TV show on TV at the moment, I think. Is that terrible? I mean, there's Game of Thrones, but
it's a hard pick.
It's hard.
I love them for different reasons. I don't feel as guilty and perverted with Game of Thrones as I do with Hannibal, believe it or not, because there's some really twisted crush I have on Hannibal. Like it's wrong, but I love him.
Crush that you have, crush that we have, and I
We
don't
really
think we're
crush-
alone. I really don't.
We really
think we're
crush
alone.
hard on him.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's
It
bad.
is.
I mean, it's questionable.
But that's why we're friends.
Yeah, I know Tammy has a problem with that. She thinks we're crazy.
I like bad guys too.
Yeah, but he eats people. Like this
It's
is
beyond.
ultimate.
It's
Yeah,
beyond bad
like,
guy.
I know he's a total creeper.
We should be repulsed and disgusted by this man, but
Instead,
we're
we're turned
not.
on. Why?
We're
But I don't
enamored.
I've seen that reaction to a lot of other weird, creepy, repulsive
he
guys.
eats people.
Yeah,
This is like it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate.
he's like the
No, like there's no going back from this.
No, it's not. It's worse than Dexter.
Yeah,
Like,
you kill and eat people.
It's
How do
pretty
you
bad.
How do you justify that?
yes. I think I'm gonna have to do. An
And sometimes I
evaluation.
get excited for him to just kill someone off already. Like
Yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah, I've
prepare
been through
them.
Yeah, it's bad, but I mean, you guys need to watch it. It's so good. It's by Brian Fuller, who I'm a big fan of. He did Wonderfalls, Dead Like Me, Pushing Daisies.
shows that I love.
Yeah, shows that were underrated, I think, for how amazing they were. So I'm really glad that he's getting time in the spotlight now because he deserves it. He's like amazing storytelling wise, visuals, like everything. The man's a genius, and he didn't get a chance. So this is his first success aside from Dead Like Me, but that was on was it on Showtime or HBO?
One of the two, I think. Showtime.
One of those. So I mean, you can't, not to say that can't be widespread because look at Game of Thrones, but I feel like this is like
But
more
It's prime time, and he's like,
Yes.
it's on a regular show that has more access to a lot of more viewers.
right.
And
So
it's incredible because as much as I love Mads, one of the reasons I watched the show is because of the direction and the cinematography, and just visually, it's beautiful. There's some episodes where I know it's terrible, and spoiler alert, the eye. that was beautiful.
It was. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful things that are twisted. Like, I just sit and watch it. I'm like, I think this is gorgeous, but it's a murder scene.
It is.
But it's beautiful at the same time. And I have no idea how this man manages to do it. But
that's what makes him a genius.
The art direction is
so well done.
Perfection. And I mean, even in the background, like today I was watching the latest episode, and like just the background, 2 characters are talking, and in the background there's like gorgeous Eames chairs. I mean, it's like an interior design wet dream. Like, I have no idea how he does it. Everything is so meticulously set up, and I absolutely love it. I actually read up that there's a definitive end to the show, so it's one of those. But it's not so bad. It's 7 seasons. That's a long time.
Wow.
We're only in 2 right now, and it has 7. So what I found interesting is that the first 3 seasons are all going to be original content. And then starting in the 4th season will be all the books. So we start with Red Dragon, 4th season already, which Red Dragon was amazing. And then Silence of the Lambs, and then Hannibal, and then he's going to close it up the 7th season with original content. So, like, closure.
Cool. Fantastic.
Because there's no real closure, I don't think, in the books, or at least not the way he wants to end it, because he has a different Hannibal, obviously. Even though it's going to run concurrently with the books, whatever he started is his brainchild. So I'm really, really, really excited.
Yes.
Tammy, you need to watch it.
You need to catch up.
I'll
and
get into
it's just season 2 right now. So
yeah. So
I mean,
I have enough time to catch up.
More than enough time. You're gonna fall in love with our little creeper, Hannibal the Cannibal. He's just amazing. I mean, Mads is like lovable. He's brilliant, and his brother was on Sherlock, but he didn't have the same level. Like,
it's a charm.
I don't think they did. They gave him justice in Sherlock. The brother. He didn't have enough airtime. He wasn't that bad of a villain. Just like I said in the vlog, like I wasn't impressed with him as a villain for Sherlock. But it's because they didn't give enough airtime.
Yeah, and they didn't make him bad enough. Like, he was just a little creepy.
Too easy.
He was no Moriarty.
He was no Moriarty. Let's not even start. That's a whole other podcast.
Yes.
A whole other 2-hour podcast on how amazing Moriarty is.
Another one who I perversely love.
Right.
I don't understand.
Right. Well,
but and you're not alone in that one.
And all of Zachary Quinto's roles, like, we all have severe issues that need to be talked about.
But I know we're not alone. You're out there and you have the same crushes we
please
do.
Comment.
Yes, let us know that you are as crazy
so that we don't feel alone, because right now we're feeling a little bit dirty.
Outcast.
Like, we need help. A little fun fact, though, about Hannibal that I just found out is that Mads wasn't always going to be Hannibal.
Really?
Apparently, he beat out David Tennant as being Hannibal.
No.
And I kind of, like, I couldn't think about it at the moment when I read it. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, he actually would have been really good. Because he's cute.
I'm happy with Mads.
I know he's too cute and sweet looking, but I think that's because I'm used to him being the doctor. So
no, it's because, for me, it's because of how he behaves normally. But you know what? You're right. He would have been an awesome creeper.
Yeah, I think, like, when I see pictures of Mads, like, hanging out, he's like this hippie dude, which makes him even more hot. But, like, he's so not his character. Like, he literally wears ripped jeans and, like, white t-shirts all the time and doesn't care about what he looks like, and I love him. So, I mean, and he still manages to pull off the part of, like, all those tacky freaking suits he wears. And then, like, super, like, smooth. Yeah. So, I mean, I think David would have done a good job. I can't really imagine it, but I kind of can at the same time, because he's lovable. So people would have, like, fallen for him and all his shit, you know, because he's adorable.
At this point, I can't imagine anybody else but Mads, because it just suits him so well. Like, he's so good at it. Yeah. And he's twisted and charming, and he's really portraying this character well.
No, he's doing really good. But I was surprised out of everybody that was in the running. Like, it was between him and Mads, and it was David Tennant. I was like, are you joking me? That's nuts. But David's doing good. He's doing Broadchurch on the BBC, and apparently that show is doing amazing. That's one for the binge list.
Okay.
But since you guys are familiar, at least I know you are, Elsie, with the Fullerverse, with, like, Pushing Daisies and Dead Like Me and Wonderfalls and all that good stuff. This is considered part of the Fullerverse, which I thought was interesting, because, like, everything else I could see as being part of the same universe.
Right. Where does this fall?
But he's actually stated that this is part of his Fullerverse. So this falls within all of that, which is crazy. But there was one episode with the cornfields. There's not really a spoiler in any of this, but it was in this episode where the colors were so vibrant and it immediately reminded me of Pushing Daisies. Like, the color scheme was exactly the same. And actually in the most recent episode, there was also like a lot of flowers and a lot of colors. And I was like, it's like,
Nostalgia
I see it.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I see a little bit of it. And the same actress that played Georgia in Dead Like Me was on last season, and her character's name was Georgia.
Yep.
So he is trying to slowly tie everything in, but it's still like really difficult for me to see like where it would fit in that universe. But I appreciate it all the same.
Absolutely.
I'm really, really depressed because I went to Comic-Con 2 years ago now, I think it was. I think it was about 2 years ago.
About that.
And I went to an NBC party, and he was there. He was in attendance, but I don't know what he looks like. Now I do. But I didn't at that point, and I could have been standing right next to him having a drink, and I didn't know. And, like, out of everybody in the world, aside from J.J. Abrams, like, he's one of those people that I want to go up to and express to him, like, what an amazing person he is and how creative he is. But I missed my chance, and that makes me really sad.
And then get another one. You never know.
This year, there's always a chance.
You never know.
Yeah. I just have to refresh my memory on what everyone looks like. I'm so bad with faces.
I'm bad with names, so...
I'm bad with names and faces, so where does that leave me? I don't know who the hell anybody is.
A little chart.
We're gonna have to do, like, study guide.
Yeah, I really do. I really do.
Like on The Devil Wears Prada, that they have, like, a list... They have a picture of each person's name on the bottom so you can remember. That's what we're going to have to do.
Okay, that's totally what I need then. Yep. Let's work on this. And a little fun fact, another little fun fact is that apparently there's little Hannibal paper dolls.
Yes.
Oh my
God. That a fan
God.
created on Tumblr, and you could download them for free and like dress him up in all his outfits.
With his suits.
And you
special suit.
Yeah, exactly. Special suits. All sorts of special suits, including the plastic one.
Yeah.
But you could like carry it around, and there's like a whole series of photos of people carrying their Hannibal dolls and
God.
like shooting them from like weird environments, and it's amazing. I love it.
Sounds like fun.
We need to get involved.
So yeah, we totally I saved it already. So I just need to print it,
and
cut it out, and start getting to work. And hopefully we'll post it on the Fangirl Diaries Instagram of our little Hannibals running around Miami, causing all sorts of ruckus.
His 305 adventures.
Exactly. I'm scared to see what we'll come up with.
Oh,
but
fun.
So next show up is True Detective. I thought that this show was just amazing. It was one of those that a friend of ours recommended, actually at Elsie's wedding. During cocktail hour, she told me, since we're all a bunch of dorks, she was like, you know what you really have to binge on? You have to binge on True Detective. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of that show. Like, I've heard the name. I was like, who's in it? What's it about? She was like, well, it's a cop drama. And immediately that turned me off. And then she said, with Matthew McConaughey. And I was like, I'm not watching this. I'm sorry.
But
yeah. And then she was like, no. But wait, hear me out. I hate him too. But on this show, he's like a different animal. Like, he's so amazing. You're going to love him. His character is amazing. Just watch it. So we did. And probably, I'd say like 10 minutes into the first episode, I out loud said, this is the best show ever. And I know we say that about like every show that we've covered today.
But for real.
It's the worst. But like, I mean, this show is right up there with Hannibal and Game of Thrones. Like, it's quality. That's the only way I could describe it. Quality TV.
I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah.
Same friend. She's turned me on to a lot of great shows, and she told me about True Detective. And then I did get on it, and I couldn't stop watching it. Like, it was just amazing. Not just the actors, which surprised me of how well Matthew McConaughey and what's his name? Woody
Harrelson.
There we go. Woody Harrelson. He's Marty. He's Marty to me. How great their chemistry was, and how they just took on roles that they've never done before, and I took them seriously, and they did really well. But the acting, the cinematography was beautiful, and the plot line just blew my mind.
Yeah,
it really did.
It's funny because it's somewhere between horror and a cop drama. Like, it's somewhere between Hannibal, which it reminded me of Hannibal a whole lot.
The darkness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's and the beauty and the way that they showcase something horrifying in a beautiful way. Like, not many people can do that. So
it is a hard thing to pull.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that this guy, the creator of the show, this is his first TV show.
Really?
So,
Well,
yeah, like
he nailed it.
Yeah, like he did an amazing job. It's a very short season, so it's really easy to binge on. I'm not sure if it's definitely not on Netflix. But if you have HBO Go, you can go ahead and watch it.
You can watch it there, exactly.
And I mean, 6 episodes. Who can't?
You can knock
6
it
to
out.
8. It's
Yeah,
like 6 to 8 episodes.
And they're like an hour each.
You're
it's
an
like
hour
a whole day
each.
laying down and watching TV.
Yeah,
Traveling.
yeah. And I mean,
definitely
you get hooked right away. There's a lot of like existential situations that are brought up. Yeah, like I mean, there's so many layers to it, and that's what I like. It's not just about finding out who murdered these people. It's like
also getting to know your main characters.
Human nature.
Right.
It's about human nature overall. So like it's a very, very cool show. It's very heavy. So if you're not in that frame of mind, don't watch it. Like if you're having a bad day, don't watch True Detective.
Like it psychologically messes with you. Like it's very heavy content. They go back and forth. You have to pay really close attention to like what year they're specifically in. It's something that you're not just gonna watch and be online at the same time. Like you really have to pay attention, and it's really heavy content. It's very dark. It touches on a lot of touchy subjects.
Heavy subjects.
I mean, I don't want to turn you off on it, Tam.
No,
you really
actually,
should
or
start
anybody
watching
else.
I'm more interested in it the more you talk about it.
It's just one of those shows that I'm so glad I didn't miss out on, and I can't wait to see what they come up with for the next season.
Well, the beauty of it is that it's going to be an anthology, so it's going to be like American Horror Story.
Okay.
So it's not the same act. Well,
Right.
It may be, who knows, but in different roles. Since they haven't really laid out how the second season is going to play,
Right.
but it's going to be a totally different story.
So each season will stand out on its own.
Which we always said it should be. As we're watching it, we're like, how are they going to carry this story on? And they're not. Like, they ended it, and that was it. It was resolved somewhat. And now they're going to start a whole new story.
Okay.
And honestly, I would want David Fincher to direct the second season, because we actually thought that it was David Fincher on the first couple of episodes.
I did.
Because it screams Fincher. And he's my favorite. I would say, yeah.
Really?
He's my favorite director ever. Like, I love his style because he does the dark and tortured so well. And that's what the show's about. I don't know if they'll carry the dark and torturedness onto the following seasons.
I hope they do.
I hope they do, because that's what defined it. Like, to me, that's what made it stand out, is that it wasn't just a straight cop drama, and it wasn't just like puppies and rainbows or dark and torture. It was like everything. Like, I don't know. There's no like good way to describe it. It's a little bit of everything.
I put it up there with one of those like must see. Like, it'll change your view on TV shows.
Yeah.
Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah. It
Really
came out of
good
nowhere.
content.
I feel like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it was one of those that from one day to another, everybody's like, True Detective. I'm like, what is that?
Because when you see like the teasers, it doesn't
do it justice, because I see a couple and I'm like, whatever. That's what I thought. It was just a cop drama.
So much more. There's so many layers of like the investigation and everything that happens. It's very complicated.
Basically,
actually.
in a nutshell, yeah. To try to like break it down
Without spoiling.
Yeah, no spoilers for this one. Don't worry. It's gonna bounce back between the past and current day.
Okay.
Yeah. So apparently, there's murders that took place in the past. And they thought that they had resolved all of that. And they go through, like, the whole process to discover who the killer was. And then they jump to current time. And apparently they're copycat murders. But they don't think they're copycats. They think that, we didn't really catch the guy that we thought was the cause of this back in the day.
Oh,
and they think that there's some sort of tie with these two detectives.
Like a connection. Okay.
So they're, like, jumping back and forth between their relationship. And you just know, like, at first you just know pieces, and then as the season continues, it starts like revealing, kind of like peeling the layers of everything that happened over all the years. So it's really cool.
It sounds really good.
And it, like, the main subject matter, I feel like, is light versus dark. And like I said, it's very existential. Like, it's not your typical show.
Which is what makes it good.
Yeah. It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy stuff, but it's like things that you think about.
Good, though.
Yeah. It's what runs in the back of your head, but you try not to bring it to the forefront.
That's what I was going to
is
say.
the kind of thing. Things you don't really talk about, but you think about all the time.
Yeah, and I think people are getting tired of unicorns and rainbows and everything is perfect and beautiful, because that's not what real life is about.
It's not.
And yeah, like you said, you have existential issues, you have morale issues, because those are things that we're confronted with every day.
Fucked up shit happens.
Yes.
And how do you deal with them? And that's
Exactly.
kind of exactly what that show is about.
It definitely reflects on all of that.
And the two characters are both sides, light and dark, which I really
Which
love.
is what everybody in the world is.
Right, exactly. So I really like it. You get both perspectives and you see how they blur.
They really balance each other off,
right,
too. So it's like they rein each other in, and it's just such good chemistry between the two of them.
And someone that proclaims to be more on the light side,
right,
tinkles in the dark.
Yeah, exactly.
But they kind of don't really define themselves as
okay.
that. But it's funny how everything's gray.
Exactly.
Everything's gray, and that's kind of what the show addresses.
Yeah.
So very, very, very good show.
I gotta watch
Binge list, do it, Tammy, because you're gonna love it. It's just like I don't think there's like that quality on TV, even with Game of Thrones. Like,
well, I think Game of Thrones is more about the wow with the special effects.
I guess so.
It's very complicated because there's so many different places they're in.
Right.
And this was more about the nitty gritty of Louisiana and just
it's not pretty.
Real. It's not
pretty.
It's not fantasy. This was
I was gonna say
true.
The difference
real
is
life.
Game of Thrones is very fantasy. You
right.
know, this and that. Where this is more like, okay, this could actually happen.
And it's not pretty, and they don't focus on the pretty ever.
Right.
So, and that's kind of what makes it pretty.
Exactly.
Like, this is the kind of show that I would get goosebumps and I would get creeped out. I would freak out. And I watched The Following and Hannibal, and none of that
I got
phases
nightmares.
me. But this show really creeped me out.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And my husband would mess around doing one of the voices, and I would get really upset. It freaks me out.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's not right, but right at the same time.
It's really well done.
It's really well done.
Well written, well acted. It's just
I can't wait.
You can't miss out on.
I mean, I don't even know who I would want to replace those characters as the main characters next season.
I don't know.
I don't know if I would want them to reprise, but not necessarily reprise their roles, or just come back and take on new roles like the way American Horror Story works.
Right.
I don't know, because they were both really, really, like, it made me think of Matthew McConaughey in a completely different light. Like, when he got his Oscar, I applauded him, even though DiCaprio lost, and I love him, and I think he's an amazing actor, and he's lost out so many times.
Yes.
Only because of True Detective, I was super excited for Matthew McConaughey to win.
And that says a lot, because I remember you and I are big Matthew McConaughey haters.
I think the majority of people are. Like,
but
I don't know anybody that's like,
him.
woo, about Matthew McConaughey. Like,
I think
maybe
I
only
liked
Hollywood.
Him in To Kill a Mockingbird. That was it.
yeah, I mean, he had his shining moments. Like,
Right.
what was that movie with Kate Hudson? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
I haven't seen that one.
No,
Okay,
I
that's
hate
like
that
the
movie.
cutest. He was a romantic comedy guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So he was like, not to say that people that are in those movies don't have any like acting chops, but like, I didn't really expect too much of him. And that's why
didn't either.
with the show, I was like, holy crap, you're a very good actor. Like,
And
he's
his
good.
character is my favorite. Like,
Right.
I was just blown away with him because
He's
of
my
the way he
favorite.
portrayed this actor.
Yeah.
I mean, this character.
Yeah.
I was just really
that speaks a lot.
surprised.
And the way, like, he had, like, a total 180 at the end of the series. So,
And more so, Matthew McConaughey is one of the producers. And so
Right.
is Woody Harrelson.
Yeah,
so
they're both
these
involved.
people were, like, from the front.
Wow.
yeah.
From the beginning, like,
But you could
pushing for
tell.
this to come out. And
Right.
that shocks me.
Yeah, you could tell because everyone, like, put 150% into
Which
it.
is,
They did.
Exactly. That's when you know something's going to be successful.
So this
when
is
they do that like
good television.
Yeah.
Like, this is really
Yeah.
great quality.
Hope-
Don't miss it. Watch
Yeah.
it.
Hopefully next season they will keep it up and they won't drop the ball.
Hopefully, yes. How some shows have done.
Let's not go into that yet.
Yeah.
So moving on from our shows to movies. This is going to be an action-packed summer. And
Very
it's
much.
just starting. We're not even in summer yet, but already
So
all
many.
the movies are starting to churn out. Our first big one, I think, of this year is Captain America.
Yay!
I have not yet watched it, but these two ladies have. So I'll go ahead and let them take the reins.
Go ahead.
I actually really loved the movie because even though there's a comic, there's actually a comic that explains what happened with Captain America, like what he has been doing between Avengers and this movie, and I still haven't read it, but I think it gives you a little bit more light on who he is as a character. Well, in the movie it's different than from the comic books. He's a little bit of a douchey person in the comic books, but anyway, what I liked was that he kept true to his core, and that's one thing I really love about him, that he doesn't lose his morale, he doesn't lose his perspective and the way he thinks. I mean, he it's so cute. He has a little notebook in his pocket and a list of things that he has to catch up with, and he has like who Steve Jobs is, like what do you have to do on the internet, like stuff like that, because he was frozen for so many years. He's but it was action packed. I liked it, and what I love the most about it, I like those, like what we were talking about, like connected, and I like that everything was connected. When they do little mentions of other stuff, like they mentioned the Hulk at one point, like really fast, and then how everything is just intertwined. Oh, they also
they mention Stark all the time, like little cameos,
little things like that.
Cameos.
But and then like it just explains how everything when it comes to the Marvel universe basically is all connected, because they even do a little mention of, spoiler alert, future X-Men stuff towards the end. So
I heard that there was a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It is.
Well, the controversy was because, spoiler alert, something happens with S.H.I.E.L.D. and so everything's revealed. So the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. no longer have the cover of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like S.H.I.E.L.D. is destroyed. Mm-hmm. So my first thought leaving the theater was, what are they going to do with the TV show?
Apparently they're tied. They said
it is tied. They said that you can watch the show and it explains stuff from the movie into the show. And
apparently the reason why this show sucked so much was because they had to keep wraps on this, and that now it should be getting really bad. So I might start watching it now.
I may start because I heard it was bad.
Oh my god, I saw the first 3 episodes and I couldn't anymore. I was like, I tried, but it was terrible.
So basically, are they saying that it was like a premise to what's happened until now?
Pretty much,
to Captain America, and then they're going to explain more stuff?
Well, I think pretty much they were just biding their time till this would happen, and now the real action kicks in. Like what they were doing was explaining for a while, like each character and building up
background.
Right. So then now we can get to the nitty gritty of it.
Okay, exactly. So we can understand what the rest of it is. One of my favorite parts from the movie, I don't know if you liked it, and I know it's a little, I was a little cheesy, but it's so Captain America, so Steven Rogers, to do how he, when he says that when you're going to go to a battle, you have to go in uniform, and he actually puts on his old suit, because the new suit is really cool. It's very modern, very badass, very military, but he was like, no, and he went on his cheesy little spandex, and he looked amazing, and he kicked so much ass with it, because
he couldn't go back. He didn't have the modern suit, so they were like on the run, so he had no choice. True. He had to go steal it.
Yeah. He could have, I know, but I just thought it was cute. Also, I know he did it for, spoiler alert, if I say this, it's not that much of a spoiler, but he did it to try to refresh someone's memory. Also, it was part of the deal.
I know who you're talking about.
That apparently everybody's now gawking over. Everybody's like, he's the total hottie. I'm like, I'm sticking to Chris Evans.
One of the things I loved mostly about this movie was Black Widow. I thought she brought
is amazing.
This movie to life. I hated the first one. I thought it was so boring.
Everybody says
I loved the chemistry between Captain America and Black Widow, and I love that it wasn't sexual. They weren't trying to like start up a relationship. It was just pure friendly and they were like a really backbone for each other. And they helped each other out, and it was just like a really good bonding experience with two Avengers, and she brought the entire movie to life, and I think it wouldn't have been as successful without her.
She was the little comic relief, and I think it's true. It's beautiful to see the friendship between the two of them grow, and you can tell now that they're like, okay, we're best buddies. When she said, well, if we would have been in that situation, would you have trusted me to save your life? And he said, well, now I would.
Right.
So it's like, okay, now it's like, from now on, they got each other's back no matter what.
Right.
Band of brothers.
Yeah. Yes. Or brother sister.
Yeah. Whatever works. No, that's why I didn't watch it, is because I was super uninterested with the first one. Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't finish watching it. Like,
it dragged.
A lot of people tell me they fall asleep in the first one.
Yeah.
It drags. Yeah. But it's because I think Captain America just has so much story, and because of him, that's why it's called the first Avenger. Because of him, everything else happens. He was the one
He's the catalyst.
Yeah, basically, because he was the first one of all of them to ever deal with the Tesseract. And then it comes back in the Avengers, and it's all connected, like I said.
Well, it eventually pops up in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Are they connected?
I haven't read the comics for Guardians.
I'm pretty sure Guardians of the Galaxy is connected. They're part of the Marvel Universe.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure the Tesseract has some...
It's all going to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably are because, that's what they do always at the end. Like, after... It has 2 extra scenes.
It was after Thor that was Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a little tease for Guardians.
Yes, it was.
I missed it because I had to go to the bathroom. Like, really bad. But, yeah, that's what was at the end of the last Thor movie.
Of the second Thor?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. No, I can't remember what it was, but whatever.
Yeah, it was a little quick clip.
Where they give the Tesseract to the keeper. I forgot his name.
The guy that he says there's the third one that they need. Yeah. Benicio del Toro's character. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just forget his actual
the actual name. And in this one, there's a clip, and I don't know, it's a little bit of a spoiler alert, but they show actually Loki's scepter and how they're gonna use it, how they're using it. So yeah, it is all connected. I'm pretty sure.
Nice, love it.
Yes.
So consensus was this one is way better than the last one.
Way better. There's so much action, and it's witty, and it has its funny part, and explains a lot, and also, it leads you also to knowing what's going to happen, sort of like what's going to happen in Avengers Age of Ultron, which comes out next year.
Yay. All right. I'll watch it. You guys convinced me.
Yep.
And that kind of leads me to whether book versus movie. We're about to talk about Divergent. But before we talk about that, I know there's been some discussion on Tumblr as to what makes you a better fan, or what makes you a fan, period. Like those people that only people that only watch Harry Potter movies versus people who have read all the books and saw the movies. Who's a bigger fan? Like, does that make you less of a fan because you only saw the movies? Or
I think so.
I honestly think so too. What do you think, Tammy?
I think honestly, it's a little ridiculous, but I think for like being a fan, there should be like levels, like level 1, like how Super Mario has levels. We should have like different levels.
There should be,
because
badges
it's true.
with colors.
Because for example, like going back to the Harry Potter thing, we dedicate so much time to it that I'm sorry, but yes, I am a better fan than a lot of people who haven't read the books. I'm sorry, and only seen the movies.
Of course,
not only because of the fact that you invest more time, but there's so much stuff that you're missing out on.
Not only that, but how the hell do you love a movie that much that you would consider yourself a fan, right? I'm a Harry Potter fan, and you're not interested in reading the books.
Yeah.
How does that even happen?
No, they should say their qualification should be, we love the Harry Potter movies. I'm a Harry Potter movie fan.
I'm a movie fan.
Yeah.
The thing is that you're missing out on so much of the universe. Like, how do you even understand half of the movies if you don't have the information from the books?
You're really
truly missing out on the entire worlds, because there's so much more that happens. And that's why I'm a huge believer of the book is always better.
Mm-hmm.
Always better. I don't think that I've encountered anything. I'm waiting for our Divergent review, but I don't think that any movie has beaten out the book.
No, not movie. No.
Well,
come close. Like, I mean, Hunger Games does a great job.
Yes.
Of doing the book to movie transition.
Yes,
like they're probably the best, even better than Harry Potter.
Oh, way better.
Oh my God!
What I hated about Harry Potter movies is that they, like, each director was like, I don't like this. Let me change this.
Yeah.
Like, who are you to come change stuff?
And let's not even go into why do we extend the last book. It should have been Goblet of Fire. That should have been extended into 2 movies, I think.
Yeah. And you know what my biggest problem with Goblet of Fire was? That
I have so many problems.
I have a million problems with Goblet of Fire, but my biggest problem is that, okay, like you said, if you read the book and you watch the movie, you're like, okay, I just watched the book sort of kind of come to life. But if you haven't read the books, then you have no idea what the hell's going on.
No. It's like
they
piecemeal.
don't explain anything.
You look at it and it's like just scenes like edited together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what sucks. I mean, I don't know if I've told you, I probably told it to Elsie, but like I didn't read the Harry Potter books to begin with. Like, I watched the movies, and I actually, fangirl admission, I hated the first movie, and I did not understand why people enjoyed
We're
Harry
going
Potter.
crazy over it.
I was like, this is terrible and this is boring and I can't wait for this to end because it's the worst thing I've ever watched. I'm pretty sure I may have fallen asleep.
Oh, no.
But then I met my husband and I started dating him, and he was a big Harry Potter fan and he had read the book, so he made me go to the second movie. So I watched it and I was like, well, this one's a little bit better. And he was like, yeah, because it's amazing. He's like, I'm just going to give you all the books and start reading the books. And after the movie, I can't say that I wasn't interested in reading the books. That's what I don't get. Like, I was like, well, this is better, so I want to read. So I don't understand where people watch something, and that was me just saying, well, this was a little bit better and I want to read.
Right.
Like, how do you watch something and say this was amazing and it's based off a book? I'll pass. Like,
yeah.
How does that even happen? Like, don't you want to read?
It.
I know some people don't like reading, which again, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because I was raised reading books.
Yep, same here.
But I mean, like Elsie said, like, you get the full universe.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, it's just you're selling yourself short.
It's such a deeper understanding
It
when you
is.
read the book.
Yeah, I agree.
It is.
Yeah.
And you take that extra mile. So, of course, you're going to be considered more of a fan. And I'm sorry if that's mean to people that love Harry Potter, but they've only seen the movies. I'm sorry.
You've only seen half of what's really
Not even half. Not even half. Yeah.
A fourth.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much more
Just
to
a
that
tidbit.
universe.
You have no idea what your obsession levels would raise to. And I think
Yeah.
that's why people
Are
don't-
scared of doing it.
yeah, I think they don't understand. I'm like, you don't understand what you would be in for.
There is
Yeah.
no one that I've turned on to Harry Potter that has
No.
ever told me, oh my God, this
This
is
was a
crap.
mistake.
Everybody
No.
thanks me. Everybody's like, oh
Everybody,
my
yeah.
God, I can't believe I missed out on this for so many years. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, because it's life altering. I grew up with it, and half of my life was like based on
Potter.
yeah, like all of the culture of it.
Everything
I
I
was obsessed
learned,
with it.
I learned from Potter.
Yeah. I actually am very proud, and she'll know who it is when she watches the video. I just finally convinced actually 2 of my friends to read the books. And, Bonnie.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting a tattoo. Dedicated
saw.
to it. And then
I saw.
and then also another friend of mine is on book 1. She just bought it and she's like, oh my God, I can't put this on. I'm like, you're only in the first book, wait until you get to the rest. She's like, I know, and I've always been such a big fan of the movies. And she's a reader. She's just like, I never had the chance. So she's obsessed with it, and she's like, I don't know what else I'm gonna do. She's like, I need the second book like now.
And you miss it at the end, because I read it as an adolescent with the books, and it was like Harry and the friend and everyone were peers. And then I recently read it as an adult, and I viewed it like maternally, and it was such a different experience, and it was incredible how your perspective changes. And it's just amazing. So having known what was going to happen, just rereading it was a completely different, marvelous experience.
Yeah, it is. I really love it.
It's
I get Potter withdrawals.
Yeah, it's one of those
miss
books
it.
that are series that you don't mind reading again.
Right.
Even though you know exactly what's going to happen. It
And
doesn't
the
matter.
There's
thing
always
is-
something that you're like, oh, that's right.
Always
Or
something new.
Or
Yeah.
you always realize there's something that you missed the first time, a little detail. That's what makes it
and it
such a
had
good
been years since I
author.
reread it.
Yeah.
And the reason it's funny because the reason I went back to Harry Potter and rereading it was because I had finished The Hunger Games, and I was so
The void.
sad. It was before the movies, before I had anything else that I could do with it, and I had such a huge void from The Hunger Games. I was like, only Harry will fill this. So I went through and I reread, but then the cycle continued because then I finished Harry Potter again, and I'm like,
oh my God.
what now? I'm so sad.
I think the perfect example is Twilight. Can you imagine not even knowing what the books were like and watching these movies? I mean,
It's terrible.
it was total turd. Like,
Yeah.
how?
Especially the first one. I think that was the worst one of
It
them
was.
all.
No,
was
I
the
think they
worst
got
one.
worse, progressively
I
worse.
really think the first one was
Yeah,
terrible.
think
but the
to
last
me-
one was really bad.
They were all horrible,
They
but
were
I
all
think the
bad.
first
Yeah.
director was just
Yeah, no, she was
yeah,
off
she's
the mark.
So bad.
To me,
Something was up with that chick.
and I was
I know.
upset because I really got into the books.
Right,
Like, I couldn't
that's
put
why,
them
like, me
down.
me too.
I was
at
so
least
excited
that's
about
what
it.
saves all of this. And I know people, or especially guys, that are like, I don't understand why this is like such a phenomenon, why girls are so obsessed. And it's like, but the books were actually
Yeah.
a good read.
They were decent.
I mean, I'm not going to say that they're revolutionary, but they
No.
were a good read, and they were what they were for, entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very good entertainment, and you got involved in the story.
Yeah, you
And-
always wanted to find out what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean,
I won't compare it to the way I felt with Harry Potter or the Hunger Games
Never.
at all.
no.
But it was a good
No.
filler. It was
Yeah.
a good storyline.
It wasn't
I
50
enjoyed
Shades
it.
of Grey,
Oh,
okay?
God,
Because
no.
that's terrible writing
I
right
would
there.
edit that as I would read it because it was just so
Me
badly
too.
done.
You know what? We definitely need to watch the movie for a future podcast and just tear into it because
I would love to. Can we please
after a
please
few
do it?
drinks, that movie's gonna be the best. Like it's just gonna be so bad. But let's not even touch on that. But yeah, like I feel like don't leave it to the movies. Like please, like
or rather,
do your research and read the books.
Or rather, if the movie is that great, imagine
how much better the books are
because
gonna be.
they're always.
And if you're into like I don't read. Just get the audiobooks.
Yes.
Listen to them as you're watching.
Everyone has a commute.
Yeah.
Everyone has a
driving
commute.
at the gym, anywhere.
Right.
Yeah. I used to
the doctor's office.
Yeah. I used to well, I haven't done it in a while, but I used to rereading Harry Potter would be me reading listening to the audiobook as I'm washing dishes, cleaning, doing whatever, and time passes by so much quicker.
Absolutely.
And with that said, let's go into Divergent.
I was very conflicted with the whole Divergent movie thing because I read the entire series a while ago, though the first 2 books a while ago, and then I was so excited for the third book to come out, and I had all this hype, and it came out, and I maybe liked a third of it, and then I hated it. It ended so terrible. So it turned me off on the series completely. And I debated whether to watch the movie, whether to invest my time in it for a while. I finally went, and then I had issues with the movie because I hate the actress they casted as Triss. I can't. It was like instant love with J-Law in Hunger Games, and this was instant hatred, for lack of a better word. Poor girl. I feel so bad, but not as much as I hate K-Stu, but...
Oh, that's a whole another topic.
She's not Triss for me. She's not the girl I imagined at all. The other terrible casting was Theo James is the boy. He's supposed to be 18. He looks 30.
I was going to say, he looks like he's 25.
And she looks very young. So it was not PG for me. Like, it wasn't cool. There was too much of an age difference. So coming in with all these conflicting emotions about the cast, about hating the end of the book, whatever, I went. Cinematography, graphics, awesome. Like the way they showed a post-apocalyptic Chicago was really well done. So I got that enjoyment out of it. The plotline was a little slow-paced, and then everything climatic happens at the end. So I was a little bored, even though I knew what was going to happen, but they stretched it out really long. A lot of things were different from the book. Nothing that was like earth-shattering, so it wasn't that bad. They followed a certain timeline. They did very well with that. My biggest complaint was one of the characters, Peter. He's a major villain in the books. Mm-hmm. Like, he's one of the guys I hated, and he's mean to her and cruel, and he stabs a boy in the eye, and he steals her towel when she's getting like in a shower, and he tries to rape her and kill her, and they don't show any of this stuff in the movie. And I think it's because they were trying to do the ratings, keep it PG. Kids. But then show him another way, like villainize him another way, and they didn't. So kind of people like him. You know, like he was charismatic and funny, and like, yeah, he was an asshole, but you didn't hate him. Like, I hated this kid in the books. And that's my biggest complaint out of everything, because everything else was pretty good. Like the fence that they have separating their factions and their little world from the rest of the worlds, that fence was really cool. They made it way better than I did in my imagination. I was like, oh yeah, that makes more sense. That makes more sense than the little like chain link fence I had in my head. They really upped the ante with like the visuals, which was really great. They had some differences, like they didn't do the stabbing of the eye part. They didn't do that at all. So, and I liked Edward. I liked that character, so I kind of missed out on that. They didn't touch into some of her friends that were pretty good characters that they need to, because they're big in the other books. But you know, they gave Kate Winslet a lot more screen time than necessary. Well, they did it because it's Kate Winslet. Exactly. That's how we're going to draw people in for the box office. Her character really didn't do as much as Kate does. And I thought that was, you know, scripted purposely.
Yeah. I mean, I started reading the books after the Hunger Games, and I think that's why I got turned off.
You were cheating.
I felt like I was cheating on the Hunger Games. I felt the same. Yeah, and when I read it, it just didn't catch my attention. Like, the first chapter of the Hunger Games was like immediate, sucked into that world. But this one, it didn't do it for me. And man, I was bored. I was at the gym. So you know how bored you get. I was on a machine and I was like, just give me something to entertain my time. And that didn't do it.
Yeah.
I switched right back to music.
Overall, I wasn't that thrilled with the movie. I mean, they tried, but I had issues with the casting. My husband fell asleep. He totally fell asleep.
And he never read the books, right?
And he never read the books.
So standalone, it must not be that great of a movie.
I don't think
Exactly.
so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not running to the movie theater to watch it.
Me neither.
No.
And I don't even think it's done that good in the box office. I don't know.
It's been skewed. I mean, some people like it and some people don't.
It's always
But
like
it's
that,
the same thing with the book series. Some people like the way it ended, but the majority of people don't.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of that, and I'm glad I'm not alone on that, because it wasn't just the way it ended. It was the way the universe just switched. Like, she took on a whole different world that we weren't expecting, and I think she tried to make it into something else than what it started being, and I didn't like that shift.
Yeah, no, not interested. May.
Fangirl, thumbs down.
But speaking of books that were turned into movies, there's Vampire Academy that is no longer in theaters, but has not yet been released on DVD because we're waiting to watch that one.
Yes.
Both Elsie and I read.
Yeah.
I'm on the first book. I just finished the first book. Elsie has read the entire series.
I'm in love with it.
I really like what
Love
I've
it.
read so far. Like, it's really fun, but amazing at the same time. At first, it started off like very young. Like, you could tell that it was a young adult novel.
Yeah.
And then it slowly started getting better. And I've heard that it only gets better the more and more books you read.
I love it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the story was great. I love the characters. Dimitri for the win.
I really hope that the movie isn't terrible. Like, I hope this isn't another Twilight. I know it didn't get a lot of great reviews. I don't have a lot of high hopes.
It didn't even last
I
that
guess
long
if
in
I'm
theater.
going in with really low expectations,
It'll be great. Actually,
So, yeah.
what
I'm
I've
hoping.
read and what I've heard from other people is if you've read the books, you'll like it.
oh, good.
Yeah, but if you haven't, it doesn't make sense, which again goes
Because
back
the
to
books
our
are
book
better.
versus movie
Yeah.
situation, is that the way that they edited it just doesn't
make
cut
sense.
it. It
So
doesn't cut
basically,
it.
it's a
know the
goblet of
premise.
fire.
Kind of, but even worse, because I've seen clips of it on YouTube, and it seems like they're just throwing in these really, really cheesy jokes. I know it was made by the same people that made Mean Girls, so it has that snarkiness, which is
Yeah.
great because
Yes.
the characters are snarky,
Yeah.
and it's in high school, so it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Lots
Rose
of gossip.
is very sarcastic
Right.
and very snarky.
Yeah, she's amazing, and her lines in the book are great, and I feel like but they made them so much worse. Like, there's one scene, not really a spoiler, where they're at a dance, and she walks in, and she gets confronted by the mean girl, and there's supposed to be a whole scene where she's trying really hard not to punch her, but she ends up punching her, and there was no like in between of like, I know I shouldn't do this because I could get in trouble. It was just straight to the punch. And then her line after is like, you saw me restraining myself, right? I was restrained. That was restraint. And it's just cheesy. It was just cheesy. Like,
Yeah.
all the scenes I feel like are like, I don't even know. They're a shitty version of what you read.
And it's so good in the book. It's so fluffy and fun. So if you're looking for a filler, like if you read something really heavy like Game of Thrones, this is a good break, which is what I did actually. I think I had read the first 2 books of Game of Thrones and I was like, okay, I need a break. I need something cute and fluffy. And I got introduced to this series and then I couldn't put it down. I actually took a break on Game of Thrones and finished reading all of this series and then went back because it was so cute and it was just funny, and who doesn't love a vampire princess, you know?
Who doesn't?
So,
And
I
who
love
doesn't
that.
love
Great.
like bad high school gossip and drama? I mean, it
there's
was,
a reason Mean Girls was so successful.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's sad to see because they were really talented. And Mean Girls is like one of my favorite comedies.
I know,
So
me too.
to see that they flopped on this on such great material really, really sucks.
and that's why I got so excited about the movie as soon
yeah.
as I heard that, you know, Mean Girls producers, and I
it
was
would have been
like,
perfect. Again,
Yeah.
maybe it is, and we haven't watched it, and we need to come back and give another
Yes,
review, which
we'll
we
come
will.
back to that.
But what I've heard is that it's edited really poorly. Like, it's very erratic.
Oh.
So that the characters don't even have real conversations with each other. Like, there's no elongated conversations. Everything's, like, spliced really quick, kind of like a music video.
And
is
I
how
wonder
it
how
plays.
they're gonna do the
They said it was good. The review that I
between the two of
saw,
them.
they said that the link, they did pretty well. That usually movies have a hard time with that, like,
Figuring that
connection.
out.
But that their link to each other was done well. But this is someone who read the books. So, again, I feel like if you've read the books, you're going to give it kind of a pass.
You have insider information.
You do. And the whole Dimitri thing,
Yeah.
they said that their relationship was not really expanded upon as much as it was in the books, which really gets me upset because, I mean, like, I was pulling for those two like, so much. And again, like, okay, spoiler alert. Who cares with the age difference? It's not even really an age difference. It made me laugh that it was even an issue, that's why they weren't together. I understand the other issue way more.
Just keep reading. That's all I have to say.
They have to end up together. I mean, they have to. I know that they're both fighting to protect one person and they can't get distracted, but come on. 7 years? It was 7 years, right?
That's it?
It's what do you mean I don't know? You know when I read the first book.
She's not 18 yet. Like, she's not even 18 yet in the
So
book.
what?
In some places, it's statutory rape.
Yeah. Like this place. Like the place we live in now.
I don't know if
universe
in that universe, but, you know,
Whatever.
in some universes.
Whatever.
Somewhere.
When people are meant to be, they're meant to be, and that's just something standing in their way. Okay.
Well,
Details.
keep reading. Just keep
Details.
reading.
I will, definitely. So we'll be back with a real, authentic review
Yes.
of Vampire Academy once we watch the actual movie, but we just wanted to touch on it because it's definitely a series that you should get into.
Yeah, and
it's fun.
And we'll be able to tear down into book versus movie then.
Yes, it's a good summer read. By the pool, chilling, having a drink. But moving on to video games. That is all our gamer fangirl, Elsie.
So the ones I wanted to review really quick, something that was all over the place is Titanfall, one of the most hyped up video games for this year, and I think it actually lived up to the hype. It's pretty kick-ass. The reason they were so obsessed with it was because co-creators from Call of Duty are the ones that finally released this, and they had major legal battles going back and forth. So these people finally, after so many years, get to release their game, and it was well worth the wait. I think if you're really into action-packed first-person shooters and you don't want to waste time on campaign or cutscenes or dialogue and you just want to get into live matches and kicking ass, this is the game for you.
So what is it? What do you do?
So the premise is you're in a faraway space called the Frontier, and there's planets with resources, and there's two factions, like the militia and another faction, the IMC, and you're all in Titans. Like, you can play as a soldier, and you can play it's like a Gundam.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
So yeah, they're these huge Gundams pretty much, but they're Titans. And the cool thing about it is, excuse me, there's no like disadvantage if you're in a Titan versus a soldier. They're pretty fairly matched. So you can win either way. But the whole thing about this game is that there is no like objectives and missions and side stuff that you have to do. Like in most games, you have a story and a plot line, and then you have multiplayer on the side. This is just straight action, and you don't have to waste time with anything else, which for some gamers, like that, all they care about, like Call of Duty has a great campaign, but most people buy it just to play the multiplayer. And this is the kind of game that does that. You don't have to bother with anything else, just straight out multiplayer.
It doesn't have so much of a storyline. Like,
Right, which for me, that kind of a game holds my interest for like a day or two, because that's not the kind of gamer I am. I like long RPGs. I like the cutscenes. I like
You're a Final Fantasy kind of girl.
Yeah. Like Oblivion and Fable, and that's the kind of stuff I love. Even like Halo, that has its crazy multiplayer and it's so much fun. I love the campaign story, and that because I also read all the books. Again, it always comes back to the books. But Halo was first the video game, then the books, but they're great fillers. But Titanfall visually was insane. It was really great. It had wonderful fluidity. The gaming was easy. It's just really action-packed, and there's no story behind it, practically. So if you like that, that's your thing. If you don't, if you're completely opposite, the game for you is Metal Gear Solid. 5, the prologue, Ground Zeroes, is like, this guy has had this huge saga. It's like the Star Wars of video games because of chronological differences, and it's been so long.
Yeah, he goes back and forth, right? Like in time.
Yeah, so it's really crazy with the timelines. But the games are so massive that he just released this one that's like a little mini prologue to the actual game that's coming out, the Phantom Pains. So it just continues and continues. But
he doesn't know how to tell a short story.
No, but he does it so well.
No, he does.
He does it so well. And then the thing with this game is this is the opposite of Titanfall's. Amazing cutscenes, amazing dialogue, like really long stuff that you enjoy as a fan. Because you get to see bits of the universe and they really are detailed. It's really awesome. The premise of this one is Solid Snake, the boss, the main character in all the games.
In all of them, yeah.
Yeah, he's on a mission to rescue agents in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. So it's really great. Like, the graphics on this game were amazing. And you go through the storyline and you get cutscenes, so you're kind of getting a little fillers of what's going to happen. And then it just leaves you in the biggest cliffhanger that you're like, what? I need more. And that's the whole point. He hooks you.
What a jerk.
He hooks you in. The cool thing is that, since it was so short, they didn't charge the regular $60. They charged $30. And I mean, actual gameplay, we did it like in 2 hours. Some people have done it in 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
And then if you do the whole game and you do all the side missions and everything, it'll be like 5 or 6 hours. Most games are way more. Like, I'll spend like 40 to 60 hours on some games.
Yeah.
But since they did the cutting of the price, I thought that was pretty cool.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Usually they don't do that, especially for Metal Gear, which they know is going to sell.
Of course.
Yeah. They don't need to do that.
No one's going to miss this one.
Right. Yeah. Good to know. All right. So to finish things up, we're going to round out some news. Biggest news now probably is that San Diego Comic-Con passes went on sale. So hopefully you grabbed yours if you want to go. Both me and Tammy will be there. We just won't be at actual Comic-Con. I've been there a few times already. Kind of over it. Over the crowds and everything. I got spoiled by being VIP a few years. So we're just going to be doing all the outside events. So I'm sure that'll be just as much fun. But I wanted to ask you guys, or more, yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys who you would want to see at Comic-Con. So let's start with Elsie.
Emily Clark.
For Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
And you know she'll be there, for sure.
Oh my God, yes. Actually, anybody from Game of Thrones I'd be ecstatic about.
Yeah, and you know there's going to be a panel.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, of course.
They have to.
Yeah. If people will riot
about it.
Yeah, they'll riot if there's no Game of Thrones panel.
Oh my God.
I, of course, would want to see Benedict Cumberbatch.
Of course.
He's never been to Comic-Con, so I'm hoping this will be the magic year where he actually shows up, even though he's been quoted as saying that he's scared to go because he'd be like, I don't know.
Well, he's a con virgin. Everybody would tear him up.
And the thing is that like he's been in everything geeky in the past like 2 years.
And he,
like Hobbit, Sherlock,
Star Trek.
So I mean, like everything possible he's dipped into. So I mean, he'd be bait for sure.
He's a perfect candidate.
I understand, but I wouldn't bite.
Too hard.
Hopefully,
or too hard.
I'm hoping just to see him on the street and accost him in a friendly way. All right, Tammy.
For me would be Tom Hiddleston. I would love to see him again. I hate that it was last year that was his big Comic-Con moment, and he went in as Loki to introduce Captain America, the Captain America trailer that we now have in theater, and it would be awesome because he also did the Nerd HQ celebrity interview. So I'm hoping that he'll go again because he said he loved it, but I don't know.
You never know. Yeah, that's the beauty of Comic-Con.
Yeah, last year was super hush-hush about him going. Nobody knew. Only like 3 people. It was him, and he said it was like 2 or 3 other people. Like even Levi didn't know that he was going. So
that's the beauty of it. Yeah, because like I think it was Bryan Cranston who was walking around with a Walter White mask. And nobody had any idea it was him. It was hilarious. And he enjoyed the entire con like that. And you never know who's in costume and who's there. Anika and I, when we went,
Yeah.
no, was it with me or with Augie? I get the stories mixed up. Like right by Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
it's amazing things. Like, you just don't know who you're gonna run into.
Yeah.
It's insane. I know Elijah Wood was wearing a mask too, and he was walking the floor, and a few people recognized him, which was insane. They recognized his eyes through the mask.
Those are super fans.
Yeah.
I'm very detail oriented. So if someone has like, I don't know, like a particular hand gesture that they do a lot or whatever, I can probably like, okay, that's so.
But there's so many people. Like, you have no idea.
No
That's
idea, Tammy, how crazy
You can't walk.
crowded it is.
This is how you walk.
Yeah.
Like this. Smashed up against people. You
Oh,
could barely
Lord.
move your arms.
Which is why I'm not excited about. Like, I'm glad that we're not even doing the panels and all that.
No, I'm looking forward to Nerd HQ really quick because we have to wrap up. But support Nerd HQ. They're having a fundraiser, Kickstarter. Donate as much money as you can because it's an amazing event, and we would really like to attend and cover it for you guys.
Yes.
So end of
to help
story.
us out.
End of
Everybody
story
out.
there. But that is the end. We wrapped up our first podcast.
Yay.
It was super fun. We hope you guys had fun listening to it. Make sure to follow us on social media, our Twitter account, our Instagram, and our Facebook fan page. We will link it on the bottom of the comments, so you guys can go ahead and add us there and follow us there. We're very active. And looking forward, we will be doing a May the 4th mini vlog, covering all sorts of Star Wars news, new and old, and we hope to see you there. All right,
Next
bye.
time.